Now, there's this thing I want you to really understand when it comes to talking about genome. If you take, for example, a cell, eukaryotic cell, which example of that is the plants, animal, fungi, and protists. These are organisms that are said to be eukaryotic because they have nucleus. Now, work with me. Now, within the cell, you have a nucleus. Within the nucleus, you have what we call the chromosome. This is the nucleus. You have the chromosome. Within the chromosome, if you unwind the chromosome, you're going to see a structure called DNA. Now, let's go a bit deeper. Now, a segment of your DNA is called a gene, which codes for an amino acid. When you put the amino acids together, it forms a protein. And when that protein is formed, it controls a trait or say character, as the case may be. Now, can you see that sequence from the nucleus that contains the chromosome that within it we have DNA coiled, and if you take segment of this DNA, so this segment is a gene which codes for a particular amino acid, and that amino acid, when you put them together, it forms protein, and protein forms or controls character. This is very important. So for the sake of exam, you should know these definitions. Seriously speaking, you should know what each of these things. You can see here it says DNA is a molecule that contains instructions for growth. So when you hear the word instruction for growth, what that really means is it makes amino acid that forms protein, and the protein controls character trait. This is very important. All right. Now, having established that, it's important for us just to do a quick overview of what chromosome is. Every human cell, each of the human cell have 23 pairs of chromosomes, or say 46. If you are counting them singly, it's going to be 46. If you are counting them in pairs, it's going to be 23 pairs. Please, the right statement is a single cell has this, not the whole human. We often say that the humans have 46 chromosomes. It should be said really that a single cell in human has, it's not, we have, I don't know how many millions of chromosomes, because if a single cell has 46 chromosomes, you can imagine how many cells we have. Now, this is for normal cells. When I mean normal cells, I'm referring to somatic cells. We call those somatic cells. Somatic cells have 46 chromosomes, and that's what that is. Then we now have what we call reproductive cells that have 23 chromosomes, not pairs. So what do we have in reproductive cells? The likes of sperm cells and egg cells, these have just 23 chromosomes, not pairs. So if I show you that, so this is what we have in somatic cells. What does that even mean? Somatic cells means body cells. All the cells in our body, except for sperm cells, are called somatic cells. Except for sperm and egg cells are called somatic cells. So you can see this is a pair, another pair. So you have the 22nd pair. Then if the person is a male, 23rd pair. If it's a female, 23rd pair. If you want to count it singly, it's going to be, if you're counting it singly, it's going to be one sec, or it's going to be like that, 1, 2, 3, 4, like that if you're counting it singly, and this will be 43, 44 if you're counting it singly, and this will be 45, 46 if it's a male, or 45, 46 if it's a female. This is very important. So this is what the somatic cell or body cells looks like. Now, then before we do that, let me say something here which was not added here. Now, please bear in mind that when we say reproductive cells, not reproductive organ, what does that even mean? It means that even testes that makes sperm cell still has 46 chromosomes. Even ovary that makes egg cell still has 46 chromosomes, 23 pairs. So it is only the egg cell, its cell, please. Because students often get confused when you see the word test. Maybe in your exam you see a multiple choice question and you're saying which of the following is contains 46 pairs of chromosomes, and you're saying maybe something you're not expected or thereabout. So if you see egg cell, you see sperm cells, and you see testes should be correct because testis is still a somatic cell. Hope that made sense. Now, having established that, now what is a genome? That was the question at the beginning somewhere. So genome is the sum total of the set or the entire set of the genetic material in an organism. I take that again. So what's a genome? Genome is the total entire set of genetic material in an organism that talks about all the genes. So if I say all the genes, that means I mean all the DNA. That means I mean all the chromosomes. That means I mean all the nucleus. But basically, that's what this. You don't need to go down to nucleus. Just if you remember what I showed you at the beginning, I said we know that chromosome contains DNA, DNA contains gene, and all of that. So that's why I say so. All of these. So just say genetic material, because really what we mean genetic material refers to DNA really, or genes, if you get what I mean. So this is something you don't want to forget. Very important. That is the definition of genome. This definition is valid anywhere, any day. Now, one thing you need to remember is the fact that, yeah, of course, we are made up of all these genes, like I mentioned, that controls amino acid and that controls our protein, that controls our structure. Bear in mind that that's not all that controls who we are. There are other factors like environment that makes us. You can have a gene and the gene may be expressed, may not be expressed, and you might even have it expressed, but the environment can change it. Please bear in mind, the environment does not only mean the climate. It means drugs, lifestyle, anything you get exposed to can be regarded as environment. And that could be the things like nutrition, scars, tattoos, hairstyle, for example, even accidents. All of these can alter your phenotype, but they cannot change your DNA, so to say. Now, what is a gene? A gene is a short section of DNA that codes for a particular protein. Now, I want you to please remember this. I remember I told you that codes for a particular amino acid, that's correct. If you say codes for an amino acid, you're correct. That codes for a protein, you're correct. Either way. Now, watch this. The reason why that is correct is because amino acid comes together to form protein, basically. Now, different proteins are available because the arrangement of so when you rearrange the amino acids, you form different proteins. We have basic amino acids, but the way they are arranged is going to be different. If you have, for example, now this is GCSE, so I cannot go into details if it would be A level, but we have different amino acids. Say we have one amino acid called leucine, we have methionine, we have tryptophan. Now, the arrangement of the protein formed from this, it will be different from an amino acid that has, a protein that has, say, methionine connected to tryptophan connected to let's say another methionine. So the point is, don't worry about those names. It's just an example. The truth is, different arrangement of amino acid in a protein makes the protein different from one another, and that controls different characteristics. As a matter of fact, the reason why you are seeing me dark this way is because there's a way the amino acids in my protein that controls my skin is different from someone that is fair. That's the truth. I'm a bit tall, or I'm quite tall. That is because there's a way the amino acids in my protein that controls my height is different from someone else. So just know that arrangement of amino acid is different in different proteins, which makes us different because different protein controls different characteristics. So, but for the sake of exam, usually you should know that different proteins can control different structures. So we have structural protein, and proteins, example of protein again are enzymes and hormones. All right, so these control different characteristics. Don't forget this. I use real life examples so that will make more sense, because that's what really it is. Different structures, different eyeball, different nose shape, all of these are controlled by genes. All right, hope that made sense. Now, having established that, you should know that, we said if this is your DNA, like that, that's not very nice, just a representation. So we said different segment is a gene, which means it codes for a protein or codes for an amino acid. Now, work with me. The truth is this: it's not the whole piece, the whole sections of DNA that actually codes for protein or amino acid. So those parts that does not code are called non-coding region or junk DNA. So that means that maybe this part is non-coding region, this part is coding region, this is coding region, this part is non-coding region again. I'm not saying it's in that sequence, but so there are some certain parts. Amazingly, the part that is not coding, the junk DNA or the non-coding regions, which means does not make amino acid, are actually more. And this is not useless anyway. Even though they call it junk, it's actually also being used by forensic scientists to detect crimes. And what do I mean? You see in movies where you see they're trying to look for fingerprints on the gun. That is actually based on the non-coding region of the DNA of the criminal or anybody it is. So that's what when you hear the word forensic fingerprinting, DNA, all sorts of things like that, this is what it is. It is the non-coding part of the DNA that is used to do that, not the coding part. All right, hope that made sense.